sports fans, PB&Z Sports Chaos, and you know what time it is? It's Father's Day weekend, so obviously PB and I are in our glory. By the way, the other big thing happening on Father's Day weekend is the U.S. Open. It's playing out there at the L.A. Par 3. We'll talk about that more in a few moments. But first, we're going to talk about what happened last week. The NHL NBA Finals Stanley Cup came to an end, as I correctly predicted, on game Monday and Tuesday. First of all, let's talk about the NBA. Denver crushes your Miami Heat, your other home team. Jokic, he was unbelievably dominant. Is he the best player on earth right now?
Yeah, I mean, wasn't he the first player ever to put up like the average, like over however many points he had, like an over 20-point average, over 10 rebounds, over 10 assists, like a triple-double average.
Yeah, triple-double basically for the playoffs.
Jordan never did that. LeBron never did that. But yet Jokic did it. So, yeah, I mean, you could make the argument that not only is he the best player on earth right now, but he potentially could be the best player to ever go through a playoff in the history of the NBA, based on those stats.
They were very dominant, and and we talked about it. We thought Miami might have a shot because they can hustle and stuff like that, and they're scrappy. But Denver answered all those questions, and we talked about their length. Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, who you mentioned. Right? Every one of those guys is long. Every one of those guys is athletic. And oh, by the way, they're all in their freaking 20s. So, PB, let me ask you a question. Because we've never, you and I never talked about the Denver Nuggets. And any time in the last 3 years we've been doing the show. But this is a dominant team. Can they repeat, in your opinion?
A lot of stuff happens in the NBA in the offseason, and then a lot of stuff happens during the season too. So it's hard to say. I think it's not as it's certainly easier in the NBA, I'm going to say, than it would be in hockey. I think hockey is the ultimate reset button when the playoffs start.
Okay.
Whereas basketball, you can carry some of that momentum into the playoffs. I think there's a lot of loaded rosters, though. I really think it goes, unfortunately, I hate to say this, but I really think it's going to go down to who can manage their load appropriately and stay healthy and getting into the playoffs.
Well, funny you say that, though, but Denver's got every key player locked up. I mean, every key player but Bruce Brown, the kid from locally here from Massachusetts. He's the only one that's a free agent. And I got to believe the kid's going to want to go back to Denver. So when you have them all locked up, no one's 30 years old, that team. Yeah. And by the way, they got guys 7. I mean, I didn't realize this. Jamal Murray and Jokic are 7 and 8 years on the team and still under 20 years old. And the coach has been there 7 years. A lot of cohesion over there in Denver.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they got to be the Vegas favorites. I haven't looked yet to see what the odds are for the 2023-24 season. But they got to be right near the top, right?
I would think so, yeah. I think they were, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And as well as the other suspects, again, the Phoenix Suns, the Celtics, which I don't know about that, but we'll see. All right. Speaking of local stories, NHL, your Panthers. They played well for 3 series, but they met their match in the finals. They went down 4-1, and it wasn't. I mean, 4-1 was. You make it. It seems like it was close because they won 1 game. Vegas absolutely trounced them the whole series long. Don't you agree?
Yep, they won every game by a lot of goals. And one game the Panthers did win was in overtime at Florida. Yeah, it was. They met their match for sure. Good for Cassidy,
he gets his revenge. I mean, who saw that coming? The guy he gets fired by the Bees. They turn around, they have the best record in the league. But meanwhile, his team did all right. They came in second in their division. They end up being, pretty solid team. And then he runs the table.
Yeah. And the goaltending certainly helped once they made the switch to Aiden Hill. Brossoit, I think, actually got hurt, and that's why Quick was in as the backup goalie.
Correct.
Aiden Hill was just on fire that entire playoff, really, and especially that series. Panthers couldn't score like they were used to scoring. And I'll tell you, I did hit one of my prop bets for the NHL Cup Finals, which was Marchessault to get the Conn Smythe, and that was at plus 1,200, so 12-1. On that. I mean, there was some other ones I didn't hit on, but obviously if I played them all, I would have been up because I hit that big one.
By the way, the irony of that whole story, that name, that pick, he was a Florida Panther. So was Stone. When they got the expansion draft happened, Stone was given up, and I think Marshall Hall was a draft pick that they gave up on to Vegas, right?
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's unbelievable. Vegas, you know, good for them. You know what's most impressive though was the fact that the Panthers were 8-1 on the road, and then they go to the Cup and they were 0-3. They could not win one single game in Vegas, right?
Yeah, that was a big one. And then they got that momentum, obviously, against the Bruins when they were winning on the road. No one ever thought the Bruins would drop the home games the way they did in the first round, right? And then they just carried that momentum. And it was kind of a glass slipper situation. You know, you knew it was going to fall off at some point because, you know, top to bottom, that roster on Vegas is really good. And you saw how the Panthers played when Tkachuk wasn't in the lineup, right? When Tkachuk wasn't out on the ice, that team was they were hurting. You could feel it, you know. And I don't think Vegas would suffer the same off of one guy like the Panthers did. So I think that's what hurt them.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. The Panthers are too well. I mean, the Vegas is too well rounded. So, I mean, I thought it was very awesome the whole series long. But Marshall, as you said, because he had a lot of goals, he was the MVP. I will also say this: I actually think that Vegas might be on a run. I mean, think about this. They're only 6 years in the league, right? By the way, the irony of their owner, he says on the expansion night, he goes, playoffs in 3, Cup in 6, mark it down. By the way, they went to the Stanley Cup Finals their first year, correct?
They did. They didn't win, but they went, yeah.
Now they win. The guy predicted they would win it in 6. I mean, you know what? As you know, on this show, I've picked them every year. So this year, shame on Z, right?
Yeah. No, and it's great to see that you can put a hockey franchise somewhere in the desert and people go and, you know, even their regular season, they pack that place in pretty good. They got a good following. So they got the fan base. They got a good roster. They got a good coach. Here's a team that certainly is poised to repeat the championship as well. I said a minute ago, it's harder to me in hockey, just because I feel like hockey playoffs, it's like a complete reset. You don't take your momentum and carry it into the playoffs with you like you can in other sports. And the goaltending, if someone gets hot, and from a goaltending perspective, that changes everything as well. But that being said, we just saw a team make 3 Stanley Cups in a row and win 2 of them, right, in the last 5 years with the Lightning.
Yeah.
So it's very possible to do. I just think it's harder to do in hockey.
True. All right. Hey, speaking of Vegas, they made another steal. They stole another team from Oakland. Can you believe the A's are now going to be playing MLB in Vegas in a couple of years? This is unbelievable, right?
Wow.
The Raiders left Oakland, and now the A's leave Oakland. 2 iconic franchises leave Oakland. Oakland, step up to the plate. Put some money down. Keep your teams there. Well,
but here's the thing. That's the one thing. That's why I love having Dolphins season tickets, especially for a sport that's played mostly in the winter, right? And late fall, is people want to come to Miami. They want to come down here. And who the hell wants to go to Oakland? You know what I mean? So, you know,
who the hell wants to go to Oakland?
Who wants to go to Oakland? So here you have, you know, the Vegas Knights, a hockey team in there. You got the Vegas Raiders, right? And now you're going to have a baseball team there. That people want to go to Vegas, and
oh shit, yeah. No,
those are hot tickets to sell. I mean, you have Raiders season tickets, man. You're making money every year. You know, it's just a destination for people to go to. So I think they should. Pretty soon they should have a basketball team too. Why not? Let's make a 4-city sport, a 4-team sport in the city.
I got a prediction. The Houston Rockets move to Vegas.
All right. That's a good one.
I see that happening because Houston doesn't win in Houston, so we'll see. All right. Hey, real quick, the U.S. Open. We got Ricky Fowler out there playing in the L.A. County par 3, which is considered one of the easiest golf courses in the world. And literally, it's a par 3 because I think the par score is 70, which usually is around 72. Ricky Fowler's -10 though. Guy's never won a major. What do you think?
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to hold on. I mean, there's guys right on his neck. I mean, there's 4 or 5 guys within a couple strokes. Rory McIlroy being one of them, Xander Schauffele being another one. So there's some guys right there. It'd be nice for him to win. I don't think he can hold on for another day and a half or 2 days because he hasn't teed off yet today, right?
Why is Rory McIlroy the face of golf? Now the Tiger's lane, right? Everyone wants, hey, Rory. All the talk shows talk about Rory. The guy hasn't won a major since 2014. He's only won one tournament in the last 3 years. I don't want to hear anymore about Rory. I know he's from Ireland. I love him for he's Irish, but guess what? He sucks. I don't want to hear about Rory anymore. Rory's shit to me. Yeah. That's it. I'm done with him.
I think he's actually English, right? Isn't he from England?
No, he's from Ireland. He's an Irish boy.
Oh, okay. But anyway, yeah, you can say that. But I think guys like Brooks Koepka has kind of become a bit of a face of golf. A lot of people are talking about Jon Rahm lately. I feel like he's like getting a lot of popularity.
But Brooks is a live guy now, so some people are on the fence because he's a live guy, right? Rahm stayed in the PGA, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah. So I mean, yes, I agree. I like Rahm personally, so we'll see. By the way, Rahm's not in the running right now. Does he come back at all in this tournament?
Yeah, I think he's like even or something like that. It's tough. I mean, 10 strokes is a lot to make up. It's doable, but there's too many guys in front of him, I think. So I would say no. If you're going to look at some people who are a little bit off the pace right now, like I've been riding the Scotty Scheffler train for a while, but he's neg 5. I would give him a decent shot at maybe making a run there down the end with only maybe, half dozen guys or so between him and the leader right now. But I don't know.
So you think Fowler will not win this thing? He's two days in. He's -10, second lowest strokes to in the U.S. Open Championship, but he doesn't win it.
I mean, I'm rooting for him. I'm pulling for him.
I am too. He's a good guy.
But I don't know if there's a lot of people to hold off, man. There's a lot of people right down his neck. We'll see.
I'm going with by the way, I'm going with DJ. I got DJ.
Okay, and he's only like, I think he's neg 6 or something right now. So he's
4 strokes behind. 4 strokes behind with two days left. We'll see. We'll see out there in the par 3 where everybody seems to hit other than Phil Mickelson, everybody seems to hit par.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, 3 storylines in the NFL really quick. We just finished mini camp. Most teams completed mini camp over the last week. I think they're all done now. What's your 3 storylines coming out of mini camp, going into training camp in another month?
Well, I mean, the first one that comes to mind was the whole saga that went on with Diggs, right? That was weird, right? Just like
very, very weird. I agree. Where did that come from? I don't know.
And the way Josh Allen was speaking about it, and it's just everything was so cryptic, and I had no idea what the heck was going on there. But so that to me is a storyline, because that's a potential, locker room deflator by having someone
receiver. That's your number one, WR1, right?
Yeah. So that to me was a big one. I don't know. What do you got?
Fun. D-Hop looks like he's going to land in New England with his old coach who he hated. Bill O'Brien, the offensive coordinator now for the Pats. Does D-Hop go? By the way, everybody says that the Patriots have a horrible wide receiver room. I'm not of the opinion of that. I think they get a solid wide receiver room. Does it get much better with D-Hop? Absolutely. But between their tight ends, Hunter Henry and the kid that Mike came from Miami, I mean, those guys are 6'5", 6'6". They're going to win jump balls all day long against a strong safety who's 6'1". If you put D-Hop in that room, Mac Jones. By the way, my other storyline is this: can Mac Jones hold off Bailey Zappi?
Right. I mean, we saw what Bailey could do last year. It's always interesting with, the Patriots is one of those teams that could easily go, 6-11, but they also could go 10-7. It's hard to say. We'll see. The defense took a little bit of a hit today with Jack Jones getting arrested, right? The Patriots might not tolerate that. He might be off the team. They might release him.
Between that and by the way, John Morant, you're an idiot. And 25 games is not enough. The NBA should suspend you for a whole year. But to your point, yes, correct. I mean, What are these guys thinking? I'm obviously they're not thinking.
Yeah, that was lame. So, all that kind of turmoil, off-season turmoil. Patriots don't deal with that stuff. They
I
just
got one storyline for you down there, Florida boy.
what's
Does
that?
Dalvin Cook end up on the Dolphins?
Yeah, there's some speculation about that. They did draft Achani. Is that how you say his last name?
Yeah.
Or A-Chain. Yeah,
But
he's supposed.
Dalvin Cook he's the second most productive running back, third. I'm sorry, it's him, Henry, and Alvin Kamara over the last 5 years.
Yeah, when you look at scrimmage yards, exactly. So I think he would be. Imagine that offense.
No, I'm afraid to imagine it. I'm a little scared.
I think that's a great landing spot for him. It'll definitely sell more tickets. I mean, they're already, selling out their season tickets for the first time in the history of their franchise. Last year they did that, obviously with the addition of Tyreek Hill.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think that's a great landing spot for him. Where else is he going to end up?
I mean, there's a number of teams I think would take him. Obviously, he's only 5 years in. But you know what? It kills me that the running back position is just so defocused in the NFL now. And you got guys that are speaking of defocus and the running back, Saquon Barkley is my other storyline. What's going to happen there with the Giants? I mean, Ezekiel Elliott, I think, killed the running back position because he signed a big contract and he didn't have any productivity like he used to after that contract. No one's going to sign a running back anymore after 4 years.
It's the lowest paid, other than kicker. It's the lowest paid position and punter. It's the lowest paid position in the NFL right now.
Which is crazy to think about because if you got guys who you use appropriately at the running back position, think of the kids from Stanford that went to the 49ers and made a big difference in their roster. Yeah. I mean, if they stay healthy, I know that's the big if they stay healthy, but wow, it's just crazy. But by the way, I think Saquon is Saquon, you've been injury prone your whole career. Just take the money you're getting off and prove them wrong. Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah. You can't, especially at running back, you can't sit out a year. There's just no way you can do it. Look what happened to Le'Veon Bell, right? I mean, you just can't do it. It's a
good example.
It's a career limiting move. By
the way, $10 million is not a bad paycheck.
I know. And if you look again at the league average of the positions being paid, backs, running backs, people line up on the backfield, fullbacks, running backs, whatever you want, that crop of people are making less on average than any other position in the NFL. So you're not going to change that dynamic. It's just not going to happen. Someone like Bijan could change that dynamic, but Saquon, with where he is in his career, is not going to all of a sudden change that dynamic.
No. Plus, if you get injured one time, you're done. So every one of these guys we just mentioned have all had an injury at one point in time, right? So you're suspect after that.
Plus, I feel like in the NFL, and this is unlike wide receiver. I feel like when your stud wide receiver goes down and your wide receivers start to get hurt and you have to go deep into your wide receiver room, you can feel it. You can sense it. You can tell. I think when running backs get hurt and they bring in that running back two that they have on their roster and the depth chart, I feel like they always come out and run wild. I just feel like
they do. And by the way, if Dalvin Cook goes to Miami, I like the two kids that came from the 49ers you guys already have down there, right? Yeah. So
Mostert and Jeff Wilson.
Those guys are solid backs. If Dalvin comes because RB1, those two come on the field, I don't think you lose much, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, all right. We're going to talk some more NFL because we're done with the NBA. We're done with the NHL. We got MLB to talk about, but who cares? Because the Yankees and the Red Sox both suck. None of their fan bases like them. They're both double digits out of first place. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we're going to kick in our divisions. We'll analyze each division once a week for 8 weeks. Maybe start it up next week or the week after, but that's going to be our next big thing. Our favorite part of the year.
Nice. All right, man. Have a good weekend. Happy Father's Day.
All right. You too, my man.